really see something that said, take a look what happened. I was saved by God to make America great again.
Welcome to the New Conservative Radio Show. I'm your host, Ninj. This is the actual episode 1 of the show. The POV show I did 3 episodes on was trial and error, just trying to figure out forum, trying to figure out live. Thank you for bearing with me if you joined any one of the many botched live attempts that we had. There's actual forum and visuals to the show now for people who watch on Rumble and YouTube. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, many more platforms where podcasts are available. Add us on social media at 4547blog is the handle, as well as the website 4547blog.com. I have a packed first show for you today. Thank you for joining us. Let's get started with the Stephen Miller interview with Fox News.
Well, it just shows you that Democrats don't have a vision for this country, don't have a vision for the future. They've become totally radicalized, and all they have to offer is unthinking, unfeeling, angry, senseless opposition, as evidenced by their shameful conduct that has now been much discussed around the world at the State of the Union, where all they could do was oppose every single proposal that President Trump had, every victory that President Trump had for America that are supported by 80% of the American people, like keeping men out of women's sports, refusing even to stand for a child who overcame and is in the process of fighting brain cancer, refusing to stand for the victims of monstrous crimes committed by illegal aliens, refusing to stand for a child who lost his parent and who is now going to be going into West Point, and the examples are endless from that evening. And so now you have President Trump putting forward what's known as a continuing resolution. It's basically a clean government funding bill. What does that mean? It means it just freezes current funding. So it adds no new spending, it creates no new programs, it doesn't have any new slush funds. It just says we're going to continue current spending while we work on a budget plan for next year, and that's when you can implement all of the new reforms. In Washington, it has never happened before, never, that a government was shut down over a clean government funding bill. It's never happened before. Anytime a clean government funding bill has been on the table, government has been funded. So if Democrats are going to try to shut the government down over a clean funding bill, it would just demonstrate that they've become as hopelessly Marxist and crazy as we all know they've become by watching their behavior.
Of course the Democrats are going to try to shut the government down. They're going to try to blame Trump and blame the Republicans and have an out, say that we're not partisan enough, didn't reach far enough across the aisle. This isn't the Democrat Party of the Clintons and the Obamas. That party was destroyed by the Biden administration and the Biden Democrats. We're now living in a time where, the media is taking over, and we all see that. And also pop culture, like shows like Saturday Night Live. Your bias is showing, and we can all see it.
Saturday Night Live has not been culturally relevant in 20 years. Saturday Night Live has not produced a meaningful talent since the 1990s. Saturday Night Live has been a place where comedy goes to die. The only good thing that has happened on Saturday Night Live in the last couple of decades were the times that President Trump hosted Saturday Night Live. We would all love to go back to the Saturday Night Live that we grew up with. But unfortunately, because it's gone woke, because it's gone left, because it's gone politically correct, Saturday Night Live is now the antithesis of comedy. And unless and until they decide to be fearless and bold and brave and actually mock and challenge the radical left and the church of woke, they're not ever going to be funny again.
Yeah, slap it to them, because they are the church of woke. It's not relevant anymore. Just like everything on late night TV. It's a big soapbox for the radical left to stand up there and mock the right every single night. Every single late night TV show. They're pushing violence and rhetoric, talking about Trump and Republicans and conservatives, all of us being Nazis, and we're just fascists because we're lovers of America. What they don't understand is to be an American isn't something to be 50-50. You're either 100% American or you're not. And these people right here, they don't understand.
Ma'am, look at my 3-year-old daughter now, and I told you, I talked to you for 5 minutes, and now, I did not agree to have my 3-year-old to have people run around and yell at her, and I did talk to you, and I had said, if I talk to you for a few minutes, will you leave my 3-year-old daughter alone? And you said yes. So I'd like you guys to...
Literally harassing our vice president in public while he has his child because they're deranged. They don't think their bullshit is going to get people killed. Their base is mostly sick-minded people trying to kill Musk for finding government waste with Doge.
These are real enemies.
Like, I think they actually want to kill me. I mean, the reason I know this, well, they say so online, you know. There's like Reddit forums where they don't just want to kill me, they want to desecrate my corpse.
Sounds like the party of diversity, equity, and inclusion to me. Sounds like love. Free love. Remember, Democrats? What happened to you guys? Spray painting Nazi all over the place. Defacing public structures and buildings, burning shit down. Your Doge derangement syndrome is showing. And it's disgusting.
Well, it's all very sad and very tragic, and underscores how the rhetoric and behavior from House Democrats, from Senate Democrats, from leading figures in the Democrat Party has created an incredibly unsafe environment for Republicans and for elected leaders in the Republican Party. They have constantly spewed the lie and the hate and the vitriol about President Trump being a threat to democracy, President Trump being a fascist dictator. All of those odious libels and slanders have resulted in a huge increase in death threats, in violence, in harassment, and intimidation. Look, again, the Democrat Party has become radicalized. They are held hostage by a tiny, tiny minority of this country. President Trump came in as the crusader saving democracy, saying that what you, the American people, want is what we are going to do. We're going to restore popular democracy to this country. And we're going to say that if rogue bureaucrats do not want to implement the will of the voters, that we are going to implement it regardless and move those rogue bureaucrats aside. We're not going to have a police state run out of the FBI or the CIA that tries to control our elections or our democracy. Nor are we going to use intelligence agencies to foment war and instability all over the world, but America is going to again become an instrument of stability and peace. But the radical left cannot handle that. So they spread lie, they spread venom, they spread hate, and the examples that you cited, this violent, horrible activity, this pro-assassination activity in our country continues to happen. And let us not forget, it was only months ago that President Trump was the survivor of not one, but 2 assassination attempts. And far from cooling their rhetoric, the Democrat Party has made it even more incendiary.
The Democrat Party is the monarchy party of America. They used every finger of the government that they could against the American people, against our president, Donald Trump. Raiding Mar-a-Lago, putting mothers away for standing up for their kids against trans bullshit in schools. Lawyers coming together and lying to draft a fake dossier for impeachment.
Yeah, they had the Steele dossier, they had a lot of other things, and we have a lot of law firms that we're going to be going after because they were very dishonest people. They were very, very dishonest. They could go point after point after point. And it was so bad for our country. And we have a lot of law firms that we're going after.
We need to put them in jail. So many Americans have gone to jail for less. We need to start putting these fake pig trash people in jail.
Well, the president not only cut off the security clearances to Perkins Coie and also implemented national security-related restrictions on access to government buildings, but also ordered a full review, audit, and, where necessary, based on the facts, termination of all government business and contracting as well to Perkins Coie. And that's going to be based, again, on an analysis and an assessment of those facts, because we are not going to fund the weaponization of law enforcement in America anymore. This is all part of President Trump's plan to shut down weaponized law enforcement. Perkins Coie, as has been well documented and established, was at the center of the Russia collusion hoax. There was a multi-year war on American democracy, a giant psyop attempted on the American people that formed the justification for the incarceration, harassment, and spying on of countless American citizens, and of course the attempt to infiltrate President Trump's campaign and ultimately to try to launch a coup to throw him out of office. This is serious, malign conduct. And this government is not going to fund it, it is not going to finance it, and it's certainly not going to award it with security clearances and other government perks and benefits. More broadly, we have a serious problem in this country, which is that the American Bar Association, our major university law schools, and our major law firms have become an instrument of the hard left in this country. And they formed an alliance with elements of the FBI and the deep state to persecute, hound, and harass American citizens. Look, you had big law helping to drive the New York prosecution of President Trump to try to overthrow the 2024 election. Big law has gotten away with this interference in our democracy and this attempt to try to turn law into an instrument of political repression for too many years. It's going to stop. It's going to stop now, and President Trump is the one who's going to stop it.
This is just more examples of rules for thee and not for me. The Democrat Party have many arms of government at their disposal, and they have for many years, but they've strengthened those arms in the last 4 years. They got the FBI, the IRS, CIA, ATF, local police, corporations like big banking, law firms like that one. For 4 years we heard about them persecuting Trump and the January 6 rioters, and as soon as they lose power and their side starts rioting and burning down Tesla stations and rioting at dealerships and calling us Nazis, they don't condemn this behavior. The persecution of Elon Musk is despicable. The way that they have switched on Elon Musk because he came to our side is despicable. And this next clip is about that. Let's roll the next clip.
Advisor Elon Musk has been paying the price for trying to help our nation. The liberal media mocked him after SpaceX's latest rocket launch failed. Watch.
It is the second consecutive Starship test flight from Elon Musk's company to end with destruction.
All I could think about was, I can't sing.
No, please don't. His response to all of this was rockets are hard. And Mr. Musk, if they're so hard, why don't you go back to your day job?
Moreover, anti-Musk protesters are targeting Tesla dealerships and staging boycotts. And now his stock is taking a hit. MSNBC's Joe Scarborough took a swipe at that. Watch.
I mean, Tesla has been overvalued, analysts believe, for years. It's sort of a meme stock. People are investing in sort of the genius of Elon Musk. That's obviously been shattered over the past couple months.
Yeah, speaking of overvalued. Now, Musk told Fox Business's Larry Kudlow that he's just looking out for America.
Yeah, I mean, really, I just don't want America to go bankrupt.
So it's a call to action. You're hearing a call to action.
Yeah.
You giving up your other stuff? I mean, how are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty. Yeah, I mean.
But there's no turning back, you're saying?
I'm just here trying to make government more efficient, eliminate waste and fraud.
And President Trump is coming to his defense, posting this, quote, "I'm going to buy a brand new Tesla tomorrow morning as a show of confidence and support for Elon Musk, a truly great American. Why should he be punished for putting his tremendous skills to work in order to help make America great again?"
The short answer is he shouldn't be. And if we had any damn sense about us, he wouldn't be. If they had any damn sense about them, I should say. And who are these people who are protesting? Is it another group of George Soros-funded protesters going out there and destroying Teslas? Hey! These people are despicable. It's funny how you don't see any of this shit going on when Republicans disagree with Joe Biden. We didn't go out there and burn Teslas and steal tires and spray Nazi all over the fucking place. Elon Musk used to be a Democrat. Ow! The founding of Tesla was funded by Obama. Like, Obama gave Elon a lot of government money and subsidies because he was an EV company. The only EV company. And they were pushing EV cars because Elon Musk proved that the EV technology worked if you could do it right. For some reason, we just forget about all this. We forget that Elon Musk does NASA better than NASA. He got into the business of shooting rockets in the air, and he said, why are we just leaving them in space or crashing them into the ocean? Let's land these things. They said it couldn't be done. And then Elon Musk and his team landed rockets. Now, do you think finding government waste, fraud, and abuse is anywhere near as complicated as landing a rocket? And not just landing a rocket. This guy can land a rocket on a boat in the ocean. This guy is catching a rocket the size of a building with 2 arms. But you don't trust him with your address? His agency isn't even an agency that's new, really. It's a converted agency, which did basically the same thing, but wasn't doing its job. Now, Joe Scarborough saying that Tesla is a meme stock, this guy must not be invested in anything at all whatsoever. Tesla's a meme stock? No. Not even close. Tesla has been like a cornerstone of many, many investment portfolios in around the world, really. Tesla stock has made a lot of people a lot of money, including Elon Musk, why he's worth so much darn money. Morning Joe is as relevant as a goddamn fart. Seriously. All the shit he says is it just stinks. Protesters vandalizing Tesla and Democratic media choosing to talk about Elon Musk in the way that they are, instead of trying to get a hold of their base and tell them, look, this is not okay, should tell you everything you need to know about the Democratic Party. Nobody can do what Elon Musk can do, or else they would do it. And Trump coming out and picking not just the average person, but a smart, genius, billionaire business person to go over the governmental finances is exactly what we needed. I'm so glad that Trump didn't come in with some DEI hired bald guy with lipstick that steals everybody's fucking luggage when he flies around America. America has changed. We're bringing in people with merit, people who know what they're doing, people with actual experience in changing things around. Elon Musk went into X, and it is now, it took a while, just like the American economy is going to take a little while to reverse. But the thing is about to start turning a profit. And they said it couldn't be done. Oh no, it couldn't be done. How many times has Elon Musk been told this can't be done, and then he does it? Because the man won't take no for an answer. He sees it as a challenge. You want to find $1 trillion in waste, fraud, and abuse? Let me find 2. And all this started because of an audit of USAID that the Democrats were standing behind. And now look at this organization. Roll the clip.
Fail to understand is actually how our public schools in this country are funded. People don't understand that we have a three-legged stool in the way that we fund our schools. You have your local tax dollars, your federal tax dollars, and your state tax dollars. And so when you make drastic cuts to the federal government, we're talking about your title programs, we're talking about your lunch programs, we're talking about the programs that affect your kids who have extraordinary or special needs. We're talking about all of those things that are going to be affected by draconian cuts such as this. If we want to go in and say that, look, and I think all of us could agree around the table that we're not preparing our kids for a 21st century global economy. If we wanted to start from that premise, and sorry to use, I'm not picking on you, but to use your words instead of whack, 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 whack. If we wanted to start from that premise and figure out how we can better educate our children, there are ways to do it other than draconian cuts. And I think in places like Mississippi, places like Arkansas, places like the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, South Carolina, and North Carolina, they're going to fill these cuts a lot more.
May I respond?
Look, folks, the Department of Education is not a program. We're not cutting any school programs. The Department of Education is being reduced staff-wise. We're getting the bureaucracy out of this money. The more times it touches hands, the more people we have to pay. The more people who work in any government agency, the more money we have to pay. These people are all being paid out of our pocket. They don't have a job unless we pay taxes. We are falling into debt. We need to shrink the size of government, not make it bigger. What are these people talking about when Donald Trump is trying to give the Department of Education's money directly to the states so they can use it in the best way? Roll the next clip.
Please, I mean, it's an open
As an
show.
individual who worked in the education system for 14 years, there's 110,000 high schools in America. The majority of them are in New York, Florida, Texas, and California. Our reading and math scores are the worst in the G7 and the G20 in terms of how many dollars we spend to advance our children.
Okay.
Why? Unions. Unions that keep mediocre teachers in place in every high school in America when we should be firing them. You want to talk about whack as our theme tonight's show? I would like to fire teachers that don't wait. And I'd like to pay a lot more to the teachers that advance math and reading scores that push our system forward against every G7, G20 country. We have broken the system long ago through unions, and this is very unfair.
But what are those cuts actually
What it means is
impact unions?
the lowest paid person in America that deserves a lot more money is a great teacher.
I agree, as a former teacher.
And we can't, in the system of unions in America, we keep mediocrity festering, destroying the education of
Respectfully, let me
children.
just tell you how misguided your statement is.
Not at all.
But I mean, I'm just going to point out the fact
Thank
that...
goodness I'm here.
But you're wrong, and let me tell you why.
I'm 100% right.
No, I want to tell you why you're wrong. Because the bottom 10 states that are underperforming, those states that I'm talking about in the South, let's take South Carolina, for example, or Mississippi. You want to tell me one thing they don't have? One thing they don't have. Strong teacher unions. So there is no direct correlation.
They have weak teacher unions?
Or barely any
they
at
have
all.
unions.
Yeah, but that's not the reason these places are failing.
So find
when was
me,
the last time?
if you look at 10 teachers, 4 of them are great. I want to double their salaries.
That's no question. I agree with you.
So why don't you just get rid of unions?
Now what happens if you have a quarter of shame where kids go to school and their heating and air don't work, where their infrastructure is falling apart, where they have to drink unclean water, or they come
Send
to
the
school
money
hungry?
to the states. That's what Trump
How
is
does
doing.
that fix the problem I just laid out to you?
Well, you got to fix the unions first, because we both agree bad teachers destroy.
Send money to the states. How does that fix the problem? Well, I don't know. Maybe paying for new air conditioning when it breaks? How about filtering the water? What is this guy talking about? Like money doesn't fix the problem? He's trying to make some kind of a counter argument because he wants to prove that Trump is in the wrong by firing people from the Department of Education. But the bottom line is we don't need that many people in the Department of Education. The Department of Education is and has been a failing organization for decades in the American government. There's really no point in having a Department of Education when we have things like private school. If we're going to test these kids and see how well they're doing and then fund based off merit, so be it. Give the money to the states and let the states divvy it out however they want to. If you don't feel like your child is going to be educated well in that state, well, that's all the more reason to move to a better state that aligns better with your values. This is what America was supposed to be. Think of America as a whole bunch of little countries. That's how America was supposed to be, not overruled by one monarchy of a federal government. Trump is trying to return power to the states because America is a bastion of culture. And if we allow the states to do what they were intended to do, which is rule themselves, we will have different cultures around our country. American cultures. It's not very hard to understand. Let's roll the next clip.
So I just have a question. Are you saying that the cuts to the Department of Education that happens right now are going to impact the unions?
I would rather the dollars that are put into running.
I know, but
the
you
federal
started talking about something else, but we're talking about the cuts to the Department of Education. I don't think those are directly.
No. You're cutting out the federal mandate and giving it to the state.
They're cutting the bureaucracy.
Yes.
I don't think they're cutting the money. They want to send the money directly to the states.
That's
And
it.
Respectfully, if this bureaucracy that is in place now at the federal and state level, no matter what state you're talking about, we're doing such a bang-up job, we wouldn't have these terrible reading scores. We wouldn't have these terrible math and science scores. Something is broken, and there's one more issue that no one's talking about, and that is the issue of truancy. We've got 30+% truancy rates in some places. Not only can these kids not read, we cannot even find them. The bureaucracy is
I would not disagree. Exactly. I would not disagree with either of you all on the fact that we are not preparing our children well enough.
But you want the state to
but that's
control
not,
this?
absolutely not. And let me tell you why. I want there to be oversight. I don't necessarily want there to be a bloated bureaucracy, but what I do want is every child in this country to have an opportunity to succeed, regardless. And let me just tell you the biggest problem we have in this country, because you said unions. I will push back on you and say that the greatest problem we have is the fact that children are punished in this country because of the zip code that they're born into. And until you can find me some parity.
Different issue.
No, it's not. Actually, because the schools sit in those zip codes.
If it's not a different issue, tell me how the Department of Education has anything to do with the zip code you're born into. It doesn't. You can't advocate for that. The Department of Education gives money to educators. The Department of Education has been overtaken by unions. Unions protect jobs. People who are mediocre at jobs take up a job and they push their agenda, or they don't even do anything. And we have so many teachers in the education system that really don't care about their jobs, that aren't interested in helping students learn. Why the scores are so terrible. All of us went through public school, or a majority of us did. You could see it in many teachers. They were there for the paycheck. They didn't care. This is the problem. If we replace these people with good teachers, which we know we can, the scores will go up. If there's incentive based on scores, states are going to be combating each other with scores in order to get more funding from the federal government. I like a merit system. I'm sick and tired of giving money away when it doesn't work. The Department of Education doesn't work.
Hang on a second, Kevin. I want you to address what Bakari is saying. Okay, let's say that you get rid of the bureaucracy at the Department of Education. How do you ensure that kids are actually being educated and that they're not just being moved out?
Do you think at the state level they hate children?
And that they're not just being...
You think at the federal level they hate kids?
That they're not just being moved out of the public school system because it's easier to move them out than to educate them.
The one thing about education you can't deny is the reading and math scores. Unfortunately, that is the metric by which we test.
But do you understand my question?
No, I get it,
that
but
if you
it's not
take the
dealing with
lowest
the issue.
performing kids and you just take them out of the system, guess what those reading and math scores are going to do? They're going to go up. So how do you...
Look, she completely has a point here. If we take the dropouts completely out of the system, then yeah, of course, test scores are going to go up. But we can track the amount of kids who were in school from K through whatever, and then when they turned 16, they dropped out. So all we really have to do is test the kids. Track the kids, test the kids. And the tracking of the kids takes place by the local police departments. You can call the police department and say, hey, I need a welfare check on so-and-so, and they'll go over to their house. So tracking people is not so hard. Test the kids. This isn't a concept that should be too hard to grasp. We have some really smart people at this panel sitting at this table, and they're advocating for some shit that doesn't even make any sense. We have to keep the Department of Education's bloated departments open instead of just updating the technology and allowing computers to take over some of these jobs that should have been taken over decades ago. Democrats, what are you advocating for? Why are you advocating for the waste of our tax money? It'll make your life better too. It'll make all of our lives better if we cut government. If we can remove how much money we're paying in taxes. Let's roll the next clip.
Let's say that, you know, everybody agrees we're not where we need to be as a country. What's wrong with trying to do something completely different? What's wrong with not just continuing what we've been doing that hasn't been working?
I mean, for me, I think there's more investment that's needed. I think we need to invest into early Head Start. I think one of the hugest indicators on how a kid is going to perform in school later on in their scholastic career is how early they get what they need. So I think there needs to be more investment into early Head Start, more investment into other things that deal with some of the outside factors that keep kids from excelling in the classroom.
And the point that you brought up is really good because I want to, go ahead, Scott.
Well, just over the last 50 years in this country, the amount of money we spend on education has gone this way, but test scores have gone this way. It's not the money.
It's where...
Scott Jennings is not wrong about the Department of Education. We've thrown money and money and money at it, and the problem hasn't gone away. We haven't seen results. You know, if you hire a contractor to build your house, and you keep giving him money and money and money, and you don't see a house being built, and it's been 40 years... Don't you think you want to see results at some point? The concept is exactly the same. Maybe not a contractor in a house, but a math tutor. You know, you're paying this math tutor for 10 years to teach your kids math, and after 10 years your kids barely know math, you're probably wasting your money. It's been decades of this for the American people. The Department of Education is a failed department. It's on the way out. We're not cutting the programs, we're cutting the people. The people at the Department of Education failed the American people. Now they're being fired for it. Should we feel bad? I don't. I'm super glad that we're going to save on our tax money, and it can go to something that's going to benefit the American people. Let Linda McMahon tell you, out of her words. Let's go ahead and roll this next clip. Linda McMahon, everybody.
Now, is this the first step on the road to a total shutdown?
Yes, actually it is, because that was the president's mandate, this directive to me, clearly is to shut down the Department of Education, which we know we'll have to work with Congress, to get that accomplished. But what we did today was to take the first step of eliminating what I think is bureaucratic bloat. And that's not to say that a lot of the folks, it's a humanitarian thing too. A lot of the folks that are there, they're out of a job. But we wanted to make sure that we kept all of the right people and the good people to make sure that the outward-facing programs, the grants, the appropriations that come from Congress, all of that are being met. And none of that's going to fall through the cracks.
So that was my next question. So the criteria for keeping that 50% is related to expenditures and key programs?
Correct. Congress appropriates the money that is going through Title I to IDEA programs.
What's that stand for?
Do you know what? I'm not sure I can tell you exactly what it stands for, except that it's the programs for disabled and needs.
Individuals with Disabilities Act, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm guessing. I don't know. I don't know all my acronyms. I've been here for 30 years.
This is my fifth day on the job, and I'm really trying to learn them very quickly.
Right, it's a lot. So reports today said that the buildings were going to be closed for security reasons. What does that mean?
Well, when people left today and they got their notification to take their laptops and their phones home with them, and we didn't want part of the people who were being permanently let go and those who are remaining to some of them show up to work tomorrow morning.
That's standard corporate
practice.
practice.
It's just standard corporate practice that we just locked the doors and said for those that are coming back, we'll know that they'll be coming back on Thursday.
Standard operating practice. Firing a whole bunch of people, lock the building down. USAID, same thing. CFPB, same thing. Welcome, Department of Education. You're the next target. Bureaucracy, bloat. That's all I need to hear. I'm not surprised. Every single government agency could probably use a 50% reduction, if not more. Government is not supposed to be in the American people's lives the way that it is. The founding fathers would be rolling in their graves if they knew how many fucking agencies exist in our country. Now. We have a president who wants to return the power to the people, return the power to the states, and that's the way that it should be. That's the way the Constitution is designed. Like I said, every state could be its own little country as we all work together, like the EU. But we're the United States of America. Listen to our name. It's not just America. It's the United States of America. So each state has the right to have an individual thought, to educate their people in the way that they want to use that federal money to educate their children the way they want to. We all don't need to be a carbon copy, cookie cutter print. That's fascist, if you really think about it. Look at how these people are freaking out. Look at this freaking lady in this next clip. She's losing her mind for no reason.
Think about a country whose president basically says, I'm getting rid of education. What does that say about the future? So many people are so mad about it because they're just taking opportunity away from kids that don't have it. So billionaires, kids of billionaires, they have it.
Let's stay on the facts.
Sorry.
No,
I'm
do
really
not
angry
apologize.
about this.
No, because this
I'm
is what
really
people
angry.
need
Your reaction?
Well, clearly we're not taking away education. The president never said that. He's taken the bureaucracy out of education so that more money flows to the states. Better education is closest to the kids, with parents, with local superintendents, with local school boards. I think we'll see our scores go up with our students when we can educate them with parental input as well.
We are not getting rid of education. All the Democrats do is freak out. It's freak out after freak out. Look at that lady. She couldn't even hold it together. She really doesn't even know what's going on, but what she does know is she's losing her job. Fair enough, but don't fearmonger. Department of Education is a failing endeavor. Tired of seeing the freakouts. It's kind of funny, but at this point, it's like, I've seen enough of them. If you don't believe me, let's go ahead and roll this next clip. The Department of Education is one of the highest paid departments in all of government. The highest paid department. Their people are. Let's roll this next clip.
Earlier this week, laying off half of their employees, attempting to fulfill one of President Trump's main campaign promises, transferring education oversight from the federal government to the states. Emma Withrow from the Fact Check team joining us now to discuss. So let's just start by breaking down the numbers, because a significant amount of people that we're talking about.
Yeah, so 1,950 employees are going to be leaving the Department of Education. To explain maybe why, the average salary for these workers in the education department's around $118,000 a year, which is actually the highest of all of the other departments with federal civilian workers, and that's all according to the Office of Personnel Management.
For comparison's sake, how much was the department's budget prior to these new cuts?
So just for employee salaries and expenses, just for that, $3.5 billion in 2024. And within that category, they requested an extra $38 million for DEI initiatives and civil rights enforcement. The Department of Education's total budget, though, in 2024 was around $250 billion, and has actually gone up dramatically almost every single year, starting in 2015. You can see on that graph there, and especially through COVID, but has rarely decreased even after COVID. And even though they've steadily had less employees, as the years have gone on, the budget just keeps getting higher and higher.
All right. Well,
until now.
Thank you for a closer look at those numbers. And we know that there's much more to this. Later on, Emma will be back to break down the main functions of the education department and how they will proceed after cutting half of their workforce.
I am shocked that the Department of Education employees are paid so much money, on average $118,000 per year, and there's no waste or bloat or fraud or abuse in this department? I don't believe it. I really don't. And I don't think it's necessary. There's a lot of government agencies that aren't even necessary. They're just draining the taxpayer from our wallet, taking our money from us. Why? Why are we okay with this anymore, to be taxed the way that we are? Hopefully Trump takes away the tax for under $150,000 a year. There's so many other ways that our country could recuperate that money. Tax money really doesn't pay for much. $3.5 billion, you guys, per year to keep the Department of Education open just with the employees alone. They're working with a smaller workforce than they have in previous years, yet they've been getting more and more money. How does that work? My students' education hasn't gotten any better. My children's education definitely has not gotten any better. Been fighting the schools about trans stuff for years. Real Americans know what's going on, just like real Americans are supporting Tesla. Just like real Americans know inflation is down, futures are up. Let's run this next clip.
85% believe that Musk's politics have a negative impact on the company. Grant Cardone is with us this morning. Grant, you just bought your daughter a Tesla. Is that your way of showing support for Musk and Doge?
100%. Elon Musk is doing things that most Americans are never in a position to do and wouldn't have the courage to do, if they had it. So I wanted to support him. I actually bought one for my wife and one for my daughter, who just turned 15. She graduated from high school at 15 years old from being homeschooled, and I promised her a new car. We didn't know which one if she completed early, and she did.
Well, that's a vote of confidence, I must say. Trump's considering a tariff on timber and lumber imports. Now, look, building costs are already going up a little with tariff and aluminum tariffs and steel. This is not good for your real estate development business, is it, Grant?
This will not hurt development at all. The problem in this country is we don't build enough. Like President Trump wants to drill, baby, drill. We need to build, baby, build. And when supply goes up, when we start building more, the cost of goods and services. So America can understand this. We have been charging for soft timber, soft wood from Canada for years, okay, since before 2018. Same thing with aluminum and steel. This is not a new thing. What Americans don't know is that we've been paying 240% on products like cheese and milk back into Canada, okay, that we get charged, which is very unfair for us. So we can get hardwood from Brazil. We produce more hardwood and softwood, by the way, Stuart, than Canada does. Canada needs America. America does not need Canada, bottom line. There's more people that live in the state of California than the entire country of Canada.
Well, if the tariff struggle, shall I call it that, if the tariff struggle continues and it stretches out for a period of months, do you think the president can hold on to political support?
Yes, 100%, because we're going to have a boom in this economy like we've never seen before. You guys that are watching the stock market every day understand that Tesla's value as a company has not changed. The piece of paper that you hold has changed. So if you can liquidate easily and you get scared, you liquidate your stock. But the company Tesla itself has not changed. The value of the U.S. economy has not changed. We actually have more confidence in the economy today than we did 4 months ago. We have a direction, we have guidance, we have leadership. We have lower taxes coming, inflation's coming down. We have a pro-business president. And I believe in the second quarter of this year, we're going to see a boom in this country like we've never seen before, Stuart. So load up,
okay,
get invested, and hold on, baby.
Get invested and hold on. I don't think he's giving anybody financial advice, but the Democrats definitely know what's in store for the American people. Maybe watch Nancy Pelosi's investments. Futures are up. They don't want to talk about it. And what are futures? Futures are an investment in what's going to happen in the future of the company, just like the word says. Those investments are up. The future is bright. With these government cuts, there's going to be a little bit of pain. Argentina went through it. But what they're not talking about, Argentina is just like us. Malay made the same kind of cuts 1 year ago. And here we are a year later. liberals and everybody said Argentina was going to be in a way worse place. Only 1 year later, Argentina is set to make a surplus on its government, to make a surplus in its GOP. How does that work? Well, because he's not spending so much, and he cut regulations. He's doing all the things that Trump said he's going to do and is doing. So we're going to see the exact same kind of benefits. Let's go ahead and run this clip.
Argentina's new president has saved his country from economic collapse after just 1 year of his presidency. Heading into 2025, there will probably be high economic growth exceeding 4%. Inflation is expected to drop by almost 100 percentage points, and there will be the first government fiscal surplus in decades. This is the first time in, well, almost 100 years that Argentina returns to normal. Argentina's economy has been a disaster, as it went from one of the world's wealthiest nations in the early 20th century to a mediocre one at best. A big reason for this was terrible government policy, which Milei is now trying to reverse. By slowing down money printing, lowering taxes, and cutting regulations, Argentina's economy can now finally thrive. Although this was painful to do at first, the rewards are already showing. In this video, we'll dive into what Milei did to make his country better and what the world can learn from this.
I really recommend going and checking out this full video. It's about a half an hour long. It's the Business Basics channel on YouTube. Shout out to them. We're going to play maybe 5-7 minutes of this video or so, but the reason why we're playing it is the similarities between Milei and Donald Trump. The similarities between Argentina's economy and the U.S. economy are not so similar, but the way that the government is being cut, the way that these leaders are going about cutting government agencies, and the effects that that's going to have on the economy are going to be similar. And this is why a lot of economists are saying, well, just give it a few quarters and our economy is definitely going to turn around to the point where the Democrats have absolutely nothing they can say. Our pensions are going to be up, everything. The way that it was when Trump took office the first time. And just like it is here, Milei faced a lot of the same backlash. And if you compare what was going on then with what's going on now, you can almost predict the future. I just wanted to point this out, but let's go ahead and roll this video. It's about 4 minutes long, and then we'll come back to it.
At the very beginning of his term, Milei removed 13 government agencies, and 30,000 federal employees lost their jobs, or about 10% of the federal workforce. Milei claimed he fired even more, saying that 50,000 were dismissed. The government also doesn't renew contracts anymore, meaning that many more stand to lose their jobs. The government employees that have stayed have their wages diluted due to inflation and a halt in salary increases. Trimming the size of the government did have an effect on unemployment rates, as it went up 1 percentage point. Milei's idea is that these people eventually get rehired by the private sector, as lowering government spending and lowering taxes could refuel economic growth. Government employees are going to have a hard time in the short term, though. Another group that's been hit hard in Argentina is poor people. This was the biggest point of criticism against Milei's government. He froze pensions, cut welfare programs, including soup kitchens, and reduced subsidies for energy and transportation. This was a shock for low-income families in Argentina. The poverty rate was already terrible when he got into office, as it stood at 42%. During the first half of 2024, this increased to 53%, pushing 3.4 million people into poverty. Many experts and journalists called the Argentinian president out on this, claiming he's betraying the poor. For a while, there were also violent protests in Buenos Aires against the government's economic decisions. But that's calming down already, because poverty rates are falling at an unprecedented pace. In the second half of 2024, the poverty rate fell 37% according to private estimates. That's lower than when Milei got into office, and it would mean more than 7 million got out of poverty in 6 months. Recently, the president said that the poverty rate fell by 20 percentage points since he took office, which would put the figure at closer to 9 million escaping poverty. There are a couple of reasons for this. Most importantly, the government is spending less, which means that inflation has slowed down and that purchasing power has stabilized. The private sector is also finally growing under Milei's administration, which allows people to work their way out of poverty. In his New Year's address, the president also claimed that lower corruption and more government efficiency meant that the social support was delivered way more effectively. There was a lot of government waste under the previous administrations, and spending less doesn't always mean less support for poor people. Milei's economic agenda wasn't just about cutting government spending, anything, though. It also focused on increasing economic freedom by cutting government red tape, and Milei has been very successful in this area. In one speech, the president said that the administration had cut more than 900 regulations, or about 3 per day. One area where regulations have been cut is in the housing market, with very positive results. The government stopped getting involved in the rental market, and as a result, supply went up 170%, and prices adjusted for inflation went down 40%. This is just one example where less government intervention means more economic prosperity. There are also risks to this, of course, as regulations have been created for a reason. They are designed to protect consumers or maintain the rule of law. But in many countries, there's no mechanism to actually remove ineffective or outdated regulations, which leads to a huge buildup of excessive bureaucracy. There are similar problems in the US, where the number of pages in the Federal Register is nearing 200,000. Milei has offered his support to Donald Trump and Elon Musk in the US as they're looking to cut all this red tape with the Department of Government Efficiency. Donald Trump definitely respects the Argentinian president, because he was one of the few foreign leaders invited to his inauguration. Moving on to another aspect of economic freedom, namely taxation, Milei is making less progress. Although export taxes have been reduced, income taxes slightly increased. He wants to be fiscally responsible, and it's hard to cut taxes while moving out of a government deficit. But Milei has promised to start cutting taxes in 2025, which would help consumers and the private sector. Eventually, he wants to reform the tax system entirely to make it way less complex. He wants no more than 6 kinds of taxes, effectively removing 90% of the number of existing taxes. This would make it way easier to do business in Argentina, and removes yet another layer of red tape. Even though these ideas are pretty radical, Milei hasn't yet delivered on all of his promises. For example, he hasn't abolished the central bank or dollarized the economy. The reason is that it would destabilize the economy too much, to the point where Milei would lose support and probably be ousted. The cutting of government expenditure was already a big step that caused temporary pain and hardship. Still, some anarcho-capitalists were disappointed by Milei, as they wanted him to go all in right when he took office. The president's response was that we are all liberal libertarians. We are not liberal fools. But he hasn't abandoned his plans. A lot is still going to change over the next 3 years, because only a quarter of the reforms are implemented, according to Milei. This could lead to even more economic success, but the president's radical plans could also come crashing down as they become more extreme. According to Milei himself, the difference between a madman and a genius is success. This man could go down in the history books as El Loco, or as the man saving Argentina from its long demise.
I think he'll go down as the man. It's pretty darn successful to me to turn that kind of a government or that kind of an economy around within 12 months, 1 year. That's a pretty impossible feat. But he did it. Now apply that to our economy. These liberals are going nuts and they don't know shit about shit. The facts are out there. The information is out there. These tactics have been tried. Before Milei, it really hadn't been tried, but now it's tried and true. Going against the economic populace of the world, you can be successful. You just got to be careful, because going against the economic populace of the world, then you can make some enemies. But we're America, so I don't think we really need to be careful about anything. We run the world. Unfortunately for the rest of the world, it's kind of arrogant and big-headed, but I mean, we're here, right? God bless America. That's all I got to say. Donald Trump, thank you very much. Thank you guys for joining my show. Thank you for coming and sitting with me for this long. If you've made it this far, please don't forget to like, follow, leave a comment, tell me what you think. I'll be back again next week, and we're going to try to make this show a weekly thing. So if you're tuning in and you like it, tune in again. We'll be back next Sunday. I'm going to do this show Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern. So, again, thank you guys very much. Join the social media. That's all I got for you today. Have a good week.
We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. God bless you and good night. I love you.
President Donald Trump knows how to make America great. Deal from strength or get crushed every time.